Hello YouTube, De-bodgery here. So this is the LTO 28S 1P 11 amp hour pack that used to sit right there in that space. And as you can see, she's big. You know, big, heavy, low density or low capacity. That's kind of the nature of LTO. They're great cells because they've got ridiculous lifespans. And for some uses, you know, like say a power wall, or you know, you've got a bus, something where weight is not really a concern, well, they work out pretty well. But the truth of the matter is, for my Zap scooter, this pack was just simply not cutting it. It was too low capacity, can handle the current. Each one of these cells will handle like 350 amps, so you can handle the current. It just didn't have any capacity. So yeah, it's got to go. It got pulled out. So anyway, yeah, I think it's the first time that anybody on YouTube has seen this pack out. Yeah, the seat compartment, which is right there, would fit right in this space right across here. So anyway, that worked out pretty well, you know, and that was cells that I had. And I'll probably use them for something else. In fact, I've got some plans for making a power wall out of all those LTOs, of which I have a lot more. In fact, back there you can see two cases, of which each one of them's got about 80 or 90 cells in each one, you know, minus those 28. Alright, so this space right here, I've been mocking things up. So first thing here is that the space, so there's a piece of steel here that, you know, the old SLA battery used to sit on. But as you can see, there's a lot of space around it that has nothing on it. So I, in cardboard, mocked this up, and that fits around the back of the under seat compartment and completely fills in the frame. So I'll cut a piece of wood, you know, a piece of 1/4 inch plywood to fill that space. Paint it and everything so that the piece of wood holds up to the weather, and then that'll give me a floor that the battery that I'm going to put in here will go in. So this right here is 200 of these Model 3 21700 cells. They're rated for 4800 milliamp hours, but I'm seeing a little bit less than that, but that's pretty typical because I don't, you know, nobody's going to actually use the cell at, you know, 2.5 volts and up to 4.2 volts and then discharge them at like 0.2 C. Nobody's going to ever do that. So you never get the manufacturer capacity. Anyway, they're getting what I expect. This right here, that shape is the shape that fits in that space and is 100 cells, 100 of those 21700 cells. And then that will go in here basically like this, you know, plus some padding because, you know, there's a little bit of space around it to keep the thing all nice and protected. And then there'll be 2 layers of these in here. So 200 cells in here for a total of whatever that is. Anyway, about 20 amp hours worth of capacity. I've forgotten how many. Total of 200 cells up in there, 100 on each layer for about 20 amp hours of capacity versus 11 or 10, whatever that's producing. So about the same weight, about the same size, twice the capacity. That's a nice improvement, you know, all out of those cells. All right, so that's that. And let's move around to the front. So up here, this space, that is the nice little hole that held my life pack that was made out of A123 cells, which is sitting right here. And this is 24S5P, about 12 and a half amp hours. This is those. So in a previous video I talked about buying a bunch of these mobility scooter packs, and each one of these is 10S4P, and anyway I talked about cutting them in half. So there's half of one of those things. You know, you got to be careful about cutting between the cells because there's just a hair's breadth gap between them. You know, it's enough for my bandsaw blade and that's about it. But anyway, yeah, there's half of one of those things. So that worked out pretty well. And cleaned up from all that stuff. You know, all the potting is removed and everything. So that cleaned up pretty nicely. And, you know, there's like the original balance wires are on it, and then I've got these little tabs across the top. They're the other balance connections. So reusing that is actually pretty darn ideal. In this space, that goes in there with about a 1/4 of an inch gap around it. So that's super convenient. That's about what I was expecting to happen. However, I get up to right here, and this piece of the frame tube is flattened, and then it's not flattened from here down. So unfortunately, if I hold this up here, see, you can only go forward so far, and then I run out of space. I just can't go forward anymore. And then I also still need to put padding around the pack too. So I really can only like stop like right about there before I run out of room, just because I need to have something, you know, so I can surround the pack with tape and some foam padding and things like that. So anyway, that's a limitation I've got to deal with, this width right here. So one of the things that I've discovered is that 4 of these half packs will fit across this width, but obviously I can't put them in that way, that's too wide. So I'll do that, put 4 across there, and then back in this space I'm going to lay down 6 more tall here, and I'll show you that over here in a second. So anyway, there's 6. Oh, I'm sorry, there's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is 20p. 20s4p, and then 2 more. That's 2 of these things put together, right? And then across here, so that's that that vertical spot. I can fit 4 across this width. So that's 20s4p right there. So imagine, if you will, there was 4 across here, and then also, I don't have enough of these little half packs to do this right, but right here I can stack 2 more tall. So that's going to get me 3 pieces of 20s4p in that space. I might be able to fit 20s, a 4th set of these in there, maybe, but I don't think it's going to work. I really don't. And essentially what it is across this space right here. So the floor kind of does this. It slopes up a little ways, and then right about here, there is a plastic cowling that comes up to about like right here. So there's enough room in there to do some fiddling with, but not a lot. But it may be that with this slope right here in the floor, that I've got enough room in there to do things a little different. So my thought here is, I know this works already. So I can fit 3 of these across this width like that. But that means I can't put that other stack of 2 right there. But maybe what I can do, so 2 of those, this way, laying down like this, that would be the other half of this right here, right? So I get 20p, or 20s rather, and then the other one here, that, and maybe 3 more stacked here. So keep in mind, that would be like that. I'd have 1 thickness here, and then I'd have 3 more there. Maybe I can get a 4th one in that space. Maybe. We'll see. I am somewhat skeptical. I don't think there's enough space, because it's got to go in here, and it's got to follow this line, so it kind of makes a diagonal right here, and it's right about here where I think that there's not enough room under the floor to be able to make that happen, because I've got to have this little extra bit right in here. So it's we'll see, fingers crossed, but it's possible. I know for a fact that I'm going to get about 30 amp hours in here, but it's possible I might get 40 amp hours ish out of the whole thing. If I can make that 4th set fit in this space. We'll see. Anyway, even if I get just 30 amp hours in there, which would be totally cool, I'd be absolutely happy with that. This is 12.5 amp hours, and this would be 30 amp hours. 2.5 times more capacity in a smaller pack that weighs less, or weighs about the same physical size. I'm pretty happy with that. It would be nice to be able to, as you can see, there's height here that I'm not using. It'd be nice to be able to use that. And up here, because this fits the floor space really well, other than back here, which I could have gone higher. It would be nice to be able to use as much of this as possible. But the truth is, this is narrower, and it totally fits through that narrow section in the frame rails. And I can't do that here. I've only got what I've got. So I may or may not be able to pull it off. But it would be totally cool if I could get 40 amp hours in here of this. But being that these are blocks rather than individual cells, it's kind of hard to shift and fit and stuff like that. You kind of got to deal with the dimensions of what you got to deal with. Anyway, so yeah, kind of got it torn apart. So this scooter, when I had it together last, with my last changes in it, I was getting 75 miles an hour out of it, and I was seeing peaks of 250 amps per controller. I guess I should mention that too. So those 2 breakers, they are OptiFuse 200 amp breakers, they are going away. I have bought OptiFuse 300 amp breakers. And the reason why is because, well, I am seeing 250 amps per controller, and so these guys are exceeding their maximum limits by a fair bit. Yeah, they need to get replaced with something more powerful. So yeah, they're going to get pulled, and the OptiFuse 300 amp breakers are physically the same size. It's just the contacts inside that are basically different. So those will get yanked, and then I'll put 300 amp breakers in there instead, and that should take care of my problems there. Because what I think is happening here is if I really crank the throttle, I see situations where power will just suddenly cut, and then I go look at like the BMSs, because I've got 3 smart BMSs. They tell you what's going on. And the BMSs don't say there's a problem. They're just happy clams. They're just doing what they should do. But then I'll see these power cuts happen, and I'm pretty darn sure what's happening is, I'm exceeding the current limitations by a lot of these 200 amp breakers, and they're starting to come open, but not quite enough so that they will actually like pop. So they're like right on the verge of popping, and I'll see this power cut. So God knows how scorched those contacts are inside, because they probably are pretty scorched. From the opening up, and then you get an arc across them. Yeah, that's probably not good. And then I see that in the motor as stuttering, because all of a sudden the controllers have a loss of power. So anyway, yeah, 300 amp breakers. I should fix that problem. And then of course, with a bigger battery pack, there's no way I'm going to run out of current then. And then I'm doing that times 2, so yeah, there's no chance I'm going to run out of current. But none of my BMSs say that there's a fault. They never say overcurrent or anything like that. There's no evidence whatsoever that I'm exceeding their capabilities. All that stuff is doing everything like it ought to do. It's totally, I'm pretty sure, those breakers that are causing my problems. Well, anyway, I think that's probably all I care to show right now. Not quite. Since I have everything all apart, let's talk about the LiPo packs that are in here. Because now you can see them. Anyway, this is, you can see it's loose right now because there's usually a strap that retains this across those 2 posts. But this right here is a single set of 10 amp hour LiPo packs, so that's 20S 10 amp hours there. And keep in mind, all my LiPo stuff is used, so it's not exactly ideal. And then up here you can see that there is a significant gap. This is about 1.25 inches wide, and there's another one over here that's 1.25 inches wide. So this LiPo pack doesn't exactly fill the space particularly well, but this also is 20S, made out of 10,000 milliamp hour LiPo packs. So this is 20S 3P, and that's 20S 1P. So approximately 40 amp hours right there in LiPo, but these are all used of suspect age, so they're not really 10 amp hours each. They're, what, 8, 9, maybe at best. And they've seen some fair bit of use. I pulled all these things out of other uses to stick them in here. So they're of suspect age at best. But, yeah, they're providing a good bit of power, but a lot of space around them. I could definitely build a pack that fits this space a lot better. Say like out of 21700 cells, which probably do better. Or maybe even like life cells would possibly work. Or since I have, a few more of these things, yeah, I might be able to pull something off with those. I don't know. I don't know how that fits in there yet. Anyway, so I think that's it. Yeah. So that's my battery work. I'm trying to get more amperage, more amp hours, more capacity, all that stuff out of this whole mess. And so the life pack's going away, for sure, now that I've started messing with these things. And absolutely, the LTO pack, that one completely sucked balls. It was not reaching its potential, or well, it was reaching its potential, but it had less potential than I needed. So that's going away for sure. Anyway, this is De-bodgery saying, hey folks, stay away from that damn SARS virus. Keep well and take care.